All right, we're 2 minutes to the hour. We have a lot of content to go through today. So really quick, I'm going to do a quick video check, a quick audio check. So if you're logging in, it looks like we're already up to 72 people, which is so exciting for today. But let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, and if you can see my screen. Go ahead and type it in the chat right now. And while you're typing into that chat, let me know where you are calling in from. Are you calling in from a very wonderful, very kind of tropical feeling, but with a lot of pollen, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Is it warmer? Is it hotter? Is it colder? Let me know in the chats where you're calling in from, and let's make sure that the audio and video is all set up. So it looks like we got some folks coming in saying yes, yes, yes. Hello from Washington State. Somebody says hello from Boston. I suspect it's colder in Boston, but I don't know if that's true or not. I just always assume it's always colder in Boston because the one time I went there, it was about 3 degrees. So that's probably an unfair assessment of Boston. But hey, thanks for calling in. Hello from Washington State, from Maryland, from East Tennessee, very cool, Oklahoma, MPB. I don't know what that acronym is, but thanks for calling in. Somebody says they're calling in from a muggy, rainy Michigan. Well, that's kind of what our forecast is for this afternoon. Somebody's calling in from Kodiak, Alaska. Welcome. Hey, we have a fellow Pittsburgher. We have a couple people from Pittsburgher. Wonderful. I mean, of course, that's where we're located as well. As the world reopens up, hey, we can meet up in person quite easily. So that's very exciting. Somebody's calling in from the suburbs of Chicago, Wisconsin, Texas, Oregon, Colorado, Wisconsin, Miami, Michigan. Oh, wonderful. Winnipeg, Philly, New York, rainy UK, California, Charlotte, Florida. Beautiful weather. I mean, is it ever not beautiful in Florida? Texas. We have all the rain here lately. Well, it's better than the ice and the sleet and the snow that you got. That was wild. Iowa, Rocky Mountain. I mean, my goodness, another person to Miami. Everybody's moving to Miami. Alberta, Rhode Island. This is so cool seeing everybody here. Kentucky, Utah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Really excited. Somebody says hello from Raleigh, but originally from Pittsburgh. Go Penguins. Go Penguins. Go Penguins. Super cool. Well, I'm really excited to kick off today's training and overview and the latest, greatest innovations in team management. Really excited to dig in. It's right at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know we're all still perhaps in recovery mode, at least here in the U.S. from the tax season. Want to be respectful of your time. So we're going to dive right in. So quick look at today's agenda. So the first thing is we're going to dive right in. We're going to dive into an introduction of the feature we're about to talk about. And this is really the premise for today's webinar. So we'll do an introduction of kind of our approach, and then we'll talk about the product feature. Now, the benefit here is that it's going to help you use the feature in a more methodical way. And even if you never, ever, ever use the feature, which will break our hearts, but let's say you never use the feature, you have some best practices you can carry forward in your firm, in your practice this year and beyond. So right after the 3 critical management questions, we're going to dive into the capacity planning view inside of Jetpack Workflow. We like to call it the practical capacity planning without the headache. Introduction to the future of customization, and then we're going to talk about the labels update. We're going to do a recap, and then we're going to talk about resources if you're coming on as a customer or if you're coming on as a prospect or maybe a potential returning customer. So we're going to talk about free resources for everybody, kind of regardless if you're customer or non-customer, at the end of today's training, which we're really, really excited about. So be sure to stay to the end of today's training. And of course, we're going to answer questions throughout today's training, but at the end, of course, we'll answer any that we didn't get through. For those not familiar with our company, who we are, what we do, and why we wake up every morning, well, we wake up every day to help you, the firm leader, the firm partner, the firm practitioner, do your best work. We want you to go out and serve clients, really help them, be on the front lines of delivering great advice, great services for them. And we want to allow you to stay in that zone where you are doing your best work. Okay, and we do this by attempting to solve painful workflow problems with simple and powerful solutions. And ultimately, our goal is when we want to make sure that you're able to get your client work done on time. We know that every time you deliver a piece of work, whether it's engagement, project, job, task, whatever you call it, it's your reputation on the line with every engagement. We want to make sure that you get it out on the door on time. And so there's no surprises for you or the clients. All right, and if you don't know my floating head around the internet or around Pittsburgh, as we know, I am the founder and CEO of Jetpack Workflow, also the host of a podcast series that we've been doing for a couple of years now called Growing Your Firm. I think it's north of 700,000 downloads, where we interview fellow firm practitioners on the mistakes that they have learned that you can avoid, or the lessons that help propel their firm to 7 to 8 figures and beyond. And we try to dissect that during the Growing Your Firm podcast interviews and get it to you so you don't have to go through all the same mistakes they did to reach their destination. So that's the podcast. We're also the co-authors of a best-selling book called Double Your Accounting Firm. So every day we wake up and we just think about, how do we help your firm through our software and through our content? All right, so having said that, let's dive into the 3 critical management questions that set the foundation for the capacity view that we're about to talk about. And the reason we started here is because we work with so many firms, and what inevitably happens is you find yourself in a position where you're a first-time manager, or maybe you've managed people before, but never in the fluid, chaotic environment of building your firm. It's much different. And if you go out and you try to find resources on how to navigate the sea of becoming a first-time manager, it's really, really challenging. There's a gazillion blog posts, there's all these thought leaders and books, and they're all wonderful, but it all creates a lot of noise sometimes, right? And how do you sift through it? And so we really took a lot of data in about, well, what are the just fundamental, basic, simple questions every manager needs to know about their work, about their team's output. And those questions are, first, what is due? Do we know what is due? Do we know if it's on track? Do we know if it's at risk? Do we know what's kind of falling behind? What's the priority? Okay, and you ever find yourself, I'm not sure how to manage my team. Ask yourself, do we know what's due? I mean, that's the first question. Everybody needs to understand what's due. Do we understand what's been completed or what's done? Was it done on time? Was it done under budget? Right? So first question, what's due? Second question is what's done. Third question is what's upcoming? Do we have the right people? Or do we have enough capacity to complete the work that's coming in the pipeline? Right? And you can kind of look at these questions and you could say, oh, goodness, this is so simple. I can't believe it. That's our goal, was to put together a set of very effective but simple questions. So if you ever find yourself on a Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m., you're starting to feel anxious, you're starting to feel anxiety, you're not sure what your team's doing, just take a step back and say, do I know what's due? Do I know what's been done? Do I know what's upcoming? You can at least get your bearings by asking these 3 simple questions. Now, for our Jetpack customers, how can you apply this in Jetpack? Well, you have the what's due for things like my work, the progress report, the jobs list. Even labels and notes can help you understand the priority or where people are blocked. For the what's done, we literally have a view now called the done report. So you can see by team member, by client, budget, the actual. And then finally, for what's upcoming, that's where the capacity planner fits in. That's what we're going to talk about today. It was a huge release in early February, right in the middle of tax season. That's why I wanted to emphasize it here today, because it might have been missed. But the capacity planner really helps you understand what's upcoming. So having said that, let's go ahead and dive into the first feature we're going to talk about today. And while we're bringing up Jetpack Workflow, I'm just going to take a look at the comments to make sure that nothing is going wrong. Okay, a lot of good chatter there. Nothing's wrong. Everything's good. I'm going to keep going. So let's open up the demo. Okay, so now you should see Jetpack Workflow. For our fellow customers on the call, this is your dear jobs list view. If you're anything like me, like this is the view I always go back to when I open up Jetpack Workflow. It's kind of like my comfort blanket. I always come into here in Jetpack Workflow. If I'm unsure and I need to slice and dice or search for something, I go to the jobs list, right? If that's you, just raise your hand and say, jobs list, I love it. So I always go here. But look, if you have upgraded into the scale tier, you will see something called Plan. And Plan for us is the easiest, most accessible way to begin capacity planning at your firm, as well as drive and understand team progress and accountability. So let's take a look at what we're looking at. So this is the new view called Plan. Plan gives you this kind of visual layout of everything that's been assigned. All right, in this case, we see everything unassigned at the task level for this week. I see that it's 3 hours of work that's been unassigned for this week. I can then take a look at the rest of my team and see what's been assigned out, how much time has been assigned out, and what's been the relative progress against the tasks that have been assigned. So I can see for Bill, he's completed 17 out of his 27 tasks. You can see for Bob, it's Wednesday, a little scary, 5 out of 21 tasks. David, even scarier, not sure what he's doing this week, maybe nothing. 4 tasks out of 21. So you can see the progress here on the side. You can click into it and you can see the breakdown right here. And here's the really cool thing about this view. It's one of my favorite parts of this view. Anything you see here, if it looks out of place, you need to rearrange it, I need to bump this to Thursday, I can drag and drop it to Thursday. Now, if it's telling me, hey, actually this entire job is due on Wednesday, if you bump this task past Wednesday, you might miss the actual deadline for the job. Okay, so maybe we don't want to move it. Okay, maybe we want to move it to the day prior. Maybe we do want to move it to Thursday for strategic reasons. I don't know. You can drag and drop anything in this view back and forth between days. You can also drop it to next week. So if I want to throw this task to next week, I can. Or because my goodness, this is unassigned work, if I want to grab one or multiple tasks in this view, I can multi-click them. And Bill just seems to be on a tear this week. So I'm going to go ahead and move him to Bill. I probably want to check with him first before I assign it to him. But let's go ahead and assign those to Bill. And now there are no unassigned tasks for this week. Now you can actually open up the same view at the job level. Let's say you're a very job-centric firm and you want to see the more macro view of how things are progressing. Well, I can open this up from a jobs perspective. And for many managers and many firm owners, you probably are going to be defaulting looking at the jobs. I want to show you that you do have the option, but let's say you're looking at it at the job level. You want to make sure the tax return, quarterly filings, CFO work you're doing, the month-end close, whatever the engagement is that you're tracking, you want to make sure that that is getting done on time. So I can come into here and I can say, look, all right, we have a template, we have a tax item here, it's unassigned. I'm going to go ahead and drop this to Frank, right? There we go, it's assigned to Frank. I can open up Bob's list. I can see exactly what's been assigned to him. If I want to start pulling some of his services earlier, looks like his Thursday's open. If I want to rearrange them, I can. So let me grab a couple of these services, drop them to Thursday, right? Now, let's say, I'm sure this has never happened at any firm listening, but let's say somebody has to call off sick. Somebody goes on vacation. Somebody goes on an unexpected leave, good or bad, I don't know. But you need to start rearranging work very quickly, or you need to defer it really quickly. You can open up this view and quickly grab a couple of these items, boom, 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 and move these to somebody else, or move them out to next week, right? And you can see Bob's week next week is packed, right? And so you might want to take a look at next week. I can open up the view right here, open up next week and say, oh my gosh, either Bob's going to have the worst week of all time, he's not going to be able to sleep, or we're going to have to start rearranging some of the work that we've been assigned to him. Looks like we can load balance this and assign maybe some things to James or Sarah or Frank. And so you can actually take a look at what's in advance, what's 2 weeks out, what's overdue. And again, you can rearrange these things as necessary. Now, of course, we're going to talk about labels here in a second, but if you're a firm who relies on labels, you will actually also see the label identifier here on the job. Final thing I'm going to mention in this view, and it looks like we have a couple comments, so I'll take a pause here in a second just to answer a few of them. But the final thing is, let's say you're looking at this list and something looks off, you want to investigate a little bit more. You have two options to kind of dive in. One, you can actually click the client name, which is listed up top. Okay, you can click it right here, or you can click the job name right here. So if I want to open up the client, I can go ahead and open it up right here. Or if I want to zoom in for this engagement, I can do so as well. So this is hyperlinked if you need to click in, ask a question, update the job to include a label like urgent, or if you need to open up a client file and have a 360 view of the client, you can. So if you need to open up the client file, again, right here, you can. If you need to open up the jobs, what we call the jobs details, where all the tasks are, and add a label, again, maybe it's waiting on client, leave a note, you can absolutely do that as well. So again, you can quickly zoom in, zoom back. You can see now that I've added that label on that job, it's going to appear right here. So I really love this view for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it gives you the ability to kind of load balance and make sure that you are able to meet all of your commitments for your clients. but it also gives you a really nice pacing or kind of scorecard, if you will, on how the team's doing for this week. And so if you're meeting with your team weekly or bi-weekly, you can open this up and see how they're progressing, broken down by the individual, and just kind of see where they're at. Anything they've completed kind of has this kind of white background. Everything not completed has a gray background, you know, here on the screen. And so the reason we're so excited about this view and why firms currently using it have been so excited about this view is because we believe it's taken something that's rather complex in many other systems where they kind of give you this huge table and you really have to do a lot of heavy lifting to rearrange it, reorganize it. You have to do a lot of clicking to make it happen. This is a visual way to move everything around and really make sure that your firm is progressing at the right pace, while also having a level of accountability across yourself and for your team. All right, so looks like we have a couple comments. I'm gonna go ahead and just take a quick look. Looks like we're still talking about the Penguins. Go Penguins. If it does impact, somebody said, does this impact the Magic job? So if there's ever a case where it would impact the Magic job, you would see a pop-up saying, you are about to move the Magic job. So we are going to alert you that that is an implication of moving one of the jobs. You would never be kind of surprised that that happened in much the same way that if I try to move a task that then exceeds the job due date, we send a little warning to you. It would be the same for the Magic job. So Plan is a premium feature in Scale. Somebody was asking about Scale. And so I think it's about $3 more per user if you want to upgrade to this view. If you are interested in upgrading to this view, if you're a current Jetpack customer, or you just want a deeper demo of this, you can always open up the chat box in the bottom right-hand corner and meet with one of our success specialists, and they're happy to kind of walk you through the view, how it might look in your firm, answer some more contextual questions. So this is a premium add-on on top of Jetpack Workflow. It's in the Scale package, which is a great question. If you want a demo of this view, the fastest way is probably open up the chat. Our average response time is under 5 minutes right now. So it's probably the quickest, fastest way. If you're like, hey, this seems like a good fit, but I really want to have a one-on-one demo, that's the quickest way to do it. Let's see. Somebody says, let's see. Yep, somebody's talking about the upgrades. So the 15 hours assigned on Wednesday, is that performed on Wednesday and Thursday? I think that is up to you, right? So if you, I don't know if I fully understand the question from a scheduling perspective, but if you want to move this job from Wednesday to Thursday, you absolutely can. If you want to open it up at a task level, you can as well, where you're going to see both the job name, the client name, and the individual task name. So if you need to move around specific tasks, you can as well. All right. Somebody says, who is working 15 hours a day? Good question. If you work 15 hours a day during tax season this year, type 15 hours. Somebody I'm sure was, but yeah, I see your point, Ron. Yeah, if you need to, that's what I think is really great about this is you can load balance it across many different people. When you do move a job to another user, let's say I'm looking at this job right here. I'm currently in Bob Miller's account and I move it to Frank. This will make Frank the manager of this job. So Frank opens up his job list and he pulls his filter for his name. He's now going to see that job on his view. All right, let's see. Somebody said, yes, I work 15 hours a day. Goodness, if they extend the tax date again, I think we're going to have to pivot a little bit and become an alcohol delivery company just to support all of our accounting firms. Such a tough tax season this year. So super proud of everybody for getting through it. Really look forward to normal dates next year. Will we be able to see more than 50 jobs or tasks in the overdue list? So no, if you're going beyond that at this time, the quickest way to then get the full list would be to actually open jobs list overdue or task list overdue if you need to triage a lot of those. And if you have a lot of overdue tasks, let's say, and look, we've talked to many firms that go through this, they're adopting a tool like this, and maybe there's some false starts and you end up with a lot of overdue work. I would make it part of your weekly kind of team meeting or pod meeting or department meeting to start cleaning up some of that overdue work, not all at once, if you don't want to, but maybe 10, 15 jobs at a time. either marking them complete or creating a future due date. But no, at this time it does max out at 50. But I do think that's where the jobs toggle is much more helpful. Is, tasks, you can get over 50 very quickly potentially. Jobs, if you're seeing more than 50, I'd probably go to the jobs tab and start doing a mass edit on the jobs level. So great questions there. I'm going to take one more question before we move on. Somebody said alcohol, I need coffee. Does everyone estimate a job or task time? That's a good question. And we see kind of it's mixed based on the firm. Some firms absolutely implement budgeted time in their practice, in their firm. I would say even if you don't implement budgeted time, you still gain a lot by just looking at the pure quantity of things that have been assigned. And for firm owners that are not using budgeted time today, I think the way you would look at this view again is just looking at what's been assigned from a quantity perspective. And from what we've seen, most firm owners, leaders, partners, practitioners have enough of a institutional knowledge to kind of understand what's an appropriate quantity in a given week, right? So, for example, a manager or firm owner might say, if I see more than 10 jobs assigned to somebody in a given week, or 5 jobs assigned to somebody in a given week, if it starts to go beyond that, I know that there's a high probability they're really crunched and I might want to investigate more. Now, if somebody has 8, but 4 of those are rather small, rather simple, really, 1 to 2 hour things to get done, not a big deal. You can always click in and assess, even if you're not using budgeted time, roughly where they're at from a capacity level. So I would say, obviously, if you want to have a higher level of capacity understanding and accuracy around your schedule, you can use budgeted time. But at the very least, seeing that output, you probably have a gut sense pretty quickly, if the team's over or under burdened for a given week or next week or 2 weeks out. All right. All right, I'm going to circle back to the questions because we have a lot to. Oh, we have 1 or 2 more. Okay, I'll wait for 1 or 2 more because we love these questions. We're going to make sure we answer these capacity questions. So we logged in dates for tax returns due dates are 10 days after the end date. Am I able to see tasks listed by end date? So whatever the effective due date is for a task will be listed here. So a great way to think of this is, and whatever's showing up on the task list, if you open up the task list as the due date, is what's going to be showed here. Same with the jobs tab. So if you're changing the out date and the out date is showing as the primary kind of effective due date, that's what you're going to see for the jobs. And if you change the task date, that's what you're going to see on the task. If one of those 2 things do not change, the system is still going to pull from those original due dates. All right, one more question on would it show actual time spent on a job? So this is a great question. If you want to see actual time spent on a job, the absolute best view for that would be the done report. So for folks haven't investigated this view, the done report under reports, I mean, this is really where you're going to see budget v actual for a given time range for a team member, for a client. So I can come into here and say, anytime from May 1st, month to date, May 26th, for Bill or for James or for my entire team, however you want to slice and dice the data, I can generate that report. If I want to pull it for a certain client, I can. Now you're going to see the budgeted time, but you're going to see it broken down on an individual level. Now, if James was tracking his time, you would see the log time against every job he had listed here. And if you want a more granular view, you would open it up at the task level. You would see the task level below that. So that is the best way to look at budget v actual, is to open up the done report and run that for a certain time period. You can run it for 90 days at a time, for an individual, for the entire team, for a specific client, or for all clients. So that is certainly still the best place to get that information. Okie doke. Yeah, and a couple folks are asking about adding plan to their Jetpack account. So again, we'll follow up with you. If you want to demo sooner rather than later, if you want to jump on a one-on-one with somebody on our success team, just open up the chat. We're happy to coordinate a time to kind of walk through this view and see if it's a good fit. Talk about the billing options and things like that. Okie doke. I think we got through most of the questions. These are all amazing questions. Keep asking them. We're going to circle back to these here in a little bit, but absolutely love these questions. Okie doke. Yeah, and And look, when you think about your firm in a methodical way, and we love highlighting our firm. So if you have a similar story to Gianna and Andrew, I mean, always let us know. We want to highlight you all are amazing. You're superheroes in the industry. But this is a really cool blurb that Gianna and Andrew had sent us. But as they were implementing Jetpack Workflow, as they were pulling stronger and stronger metrics, they were actually able to reduce their admin time for spending 35% of all their time on admin work to reducing that to 15% of their time. It's really cool. They have a really smart firm where they're looking every month, every quarter, what can we improve? What can we improve? So for folks listening, if you're using Jetpack Workflow today, that's amazing because every 90 days, you can open up and you can look at things like the done report and say, hey, where's the bottlenecks? What can we improve? And it could be a big fix, or it could just be one of the biggest fixes could be adding all the information to the client. Folks were unsure. Does this client use Xero or QBO? And they had to go ask people. And those people had to ask people. And those people had to ask people, right? And all these small things add up. And I just love seeing firms like this. And if you have a similar story, let us know, where by using the system, really looking at some of the reports we had talked about, they're able to reduce their admin time. All right, let's talk about customization, right? So we're so excited about this. If you're a Jetpack customer, I'm hoping you're just over the moon about this one. We're so excited about hearing this from our community. But look, it all started about listening to our customers, seeing what you all are saying, and then also looking at everything in the world that you can customize today, right? So if you want a car, just about any color you could get in a car, right? If I want to have various colorful toppings for ice cream, right? So I'm not a big alcohol drinker, but I love, ice cream. If I was in the middle of tax season, probably gained 20 pounds just eating ice cream, to be honest with you. So you have all these abilities to add toppings to your ice cream. Everything's going on for swag. If you want to put your logo, you want to put your colors in just about anything, you absolutely can. You can even customize T-shirts. I don't know if anybody has done this. Obviously, you can make them any color you want. You can put your logo on it. The latest craze is now you can put people's faces all over it, right? So I don't know if I would personally wear a T-shirt that has somebody's face all over it. I don't know. That's just me. But that's the new level of customization. And when we looked at Jetpack Workflow, and we heard this all the time, which is like, okay, we love labels. We love the visual nature of them. Most of the time, we really love the colors of the labels. It's great. But we want more. We want more. We want more. We want more colors. We want a higher quantity. We want to customize it. We want to be able to label a job, not only if it has a scope warning or if it's urgent. Maybe we want to alert different people using labels. Maybe we have different kind of identifiers or levels of priority or level of urgency with labels. So we took those 7 labels and we decided, let's make 100 labels. So everybody here, you get 100 labels. You open up your Jetpack Workflow account today, regardless of plan, regardless of whatever, you're going to have 100 labels in your account. Okay, so let's walk through what this means, what are the implications, and what are some of the use cases you can apply to your Jetpack Workflow account. So let me zoom out. And you know what, directly from the screen, how about we just dive into, project or job, if you will. And so let's open up a job and let's go ahead and see. Okay, well, we have 7 labels here. These are wonderful labels. Of course, as always, I can apply labels right here. But I have this option down below to edit labels. All right, well, let's open that up. It's going to take us to the settings inside of Jetpack Workflow. And here is your new kind of magical label creation center. Okay, so let's walk through exactly how it works, what it looks like, and how you can apply it to your account. Again, this is a feature. Any account, anybody on the call, if you open up your Jetpack Workflow, you should be able to access now up to 100 different labels inside of your account. Now, you'll see if you open it up, you're not just going to randomly see 100 labels. That would be confusing and clunky. You're going to see a default set of labels, but now you have the option to add a label. So let's add a label name, call it urgent, right? And I can come into here and I can grab a color. Now, let's just say if I don't care about the colors, just hit this little wheel and I'm sure it could just give you a random color. You see, if I click it, it'll give us a couple different options. If I really want to customize it, let's say the labels want to be the same color as our firm logo or our firm design, I can come into here and change it. If you want, for example, urgent to be the deepest, darkest red possible or the brightest red possible, you can come into here and leave it as that, put create label. Great, you just created another label. You can rinse and repeat this until you get to 100. So as many labels as you want. You can see I've created 8 right here. This view is also going to show you how many jobs are using these labels. All right, if you ever need to edit the label, okay, second reviewer, this color, we always didn't like this color for whatever reason. We wanted it to be, a nice blue. I can come into here and edit it. Now you will also see the option for account maintenance to delete a label, right? But we wanted to say, look, you have 9 jobs here. Okay, you don't want to just probably randomly delete a label here, right? And so, you want to use this, and it'll say, are you sure deleting this label, remove it from all jobs? So before you even delete it, it's not like if you click it, they just magically disappear. We have kind of a friction point for you to make sure that if you really delete this, just know that it's going to be removed from 7 jobs that it's attached to. So you can add up to 100 labels. You can really customize your account. You can really add, if you want to add 4 levels of urgency, different levels of scope warning, different levels of attention, different levels of review, whatever it may be, you can do this. Okay. Now, this is a big advantage for a couple of reasons. For folks that are using labels, you just know how impactful labels can be. So as a reminder for folks, what you can do with labels. All right. So it's just a way to help you categorize your work to the next level. So with labels, you can filter on the jobs list by, well, any label you put. Now, these are the ones I just created. They have no jobs associated with them. But if I open up a specific job, I will see that as an option to add to that job. Now, what's really wonderful about this is this means that Jetpack Workflow could really evolve as your firm evolves. So every time you run into a use case and you wish you had an identifier for that job that either a colleague, a manager, the firm owner could be aware of, whatever it may be, add it as a label. And what's really cool about this, again, you can always filter by the label that's applied to the job. So if I want to see everything for urgent, well, it's going to pull up that one that I just created. Another thing, as a reminder, the labels that you create and that you apply to your jobs are also going to be reported at the dashboard level, right? So now we have this updated breakdown where you could see these, all right here, right? So urgent, it has 1 job. I just applied it today, right? And so as you're creating your account, as you're building out your account, you're going to be able to see this at the dashboard level as a sanity check, how many jobs are listed as urgent, second review, or priority level. You're going to be able to filter it at the job level. And if you are using plan or you decide to upgrade to plan, you will also see the labels appear on the plan view. And the final place you're going to see them is in the My Work view. So it's a great visual identifier across the entire application. You can really customize the account now, where anytime you run into a scenario that's not accounted for in Jetpack Workflow, in the majority of cases, you should probably create a label for it, because then you could track it for that instance of the job. All right, so very excited about this. Very excited about kind of the labels update. So I have a couple questions here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this now. Somebody's asking, can you add labels to multiple jobs at the same time? So no, you cannot add labels to multiple jobs at the same time. The quickest, fastest way to do that is probably running a search by the category for the job or the type of client. Great recommendation, but with this release, it's really assigning it to 1 job at one time. But again, if you want to kind of batch these, I would run a search or filter and then apply it to the ones there. Great question. Somebody says, do you have to click into the job, or how do you remove the label from the job? Yes. So if this is no longer urgent, or if this is done, you would come into here and you just close it like that, right? You add it just like this. You add the plus sign. If you need to close it out, just close it out right there. All right, so that's what it looks like to add and remove. Now, I will say, if you're in the job, in the majority of cases, this is just a nice best practice, right? If it's no longer urgent or you finish your review, add a note, what you did. If you're waiting on a client, the client finally got back to you, okay, they removed, say, got client information, it's located in, in the task, or it's located in the portal, or it's located in this folder. Add information here, as you remove things, so everybody can reference this. And I'm a big fan. This is really not about labels, but I'm a big fan of just documenting everything in notes anyways. We had one firm owner I don't think he's on the call today, Orrin Wilson, one of the best tactics he deployed against his Jetpack Workflow account that helped him increase profits by 20% year over year was he would take a look at something like the done report or the archive view, and he would say, what are we missing from a deadline perspective? What's not getting done on time? And he would open up those jobs, he would take a look at those notes, and he would try to identify where people were getting stuck. Were they unsure how to complete something? Could they not find the right information? He would assess those notes. Anytime he saw a bottleneck, big or small, he would update the account or update the client file with that information and let his team know, hey, I've updated the Jetpack client. You can now view all the information here, right? Or he had his team, hey, can you update the Jetpack client? And then everything's listed there. Just a side note, if you're opening it up, if you're removing a label, and if it's relevant, if it's useful context, add a quick note just so everybody knows what's going on. Really cuts down on the back and forth and inefficiencies of trying to track down or get context for a certain job. Okie doke, a couple more questions are coming in. So somebody said, can you mass add? So you cannot mass add labels. I think the best way to if you need to update a number of jobs at one time is run the view inside of the jobs and then come into here, do a quick click and add it onto there. Great idea, but if you want to run that today, you would come into here and kind of add it one at a time. Let's see, a couple more questions. Yeah, notes. Yep, let's just put an example here. Yeah, they will be timestamped. Now it says just now, but you will see the date appearing on there. So that's a great question on the notes. Right now it says a few seconds ago. You could already see it's being updated in real time inside the application. Great question. Okie doke. Let me take a look to see if there's any more questions on the labels. Who's excited for more labels, by the way? I feel like this has been one of those kind of features we've been hearing about from our community. They wanted to, yeah. Raise your hand if you're excited about it. Oh, this is cool. Actually, my screen, I don't know if y'all can see this. Literally, my screen is being taken over with raised hands. So very, very, very excited about this. You can add up to 100 labels. Very, very exciting things. All right, very cool. Yeah, we're very excited about it as well. You can really customize your account. And inside of Jetpack, we're excited to see what labels you're going to apply. If you start applying labels and you're like, gosh, this use case has really helped our firm, let us know. Drop it into the support chat. Let us in the Jetpack community. Let us know. We're always looking for great ways to further, each other and each other's firms. So if you find a use case that's really, really great for labels, let us know. If you found one today, just like everybody should be using this label, totally transformed my firm, drop in the comment today if you already have something like that. Always happy to share best practices. Really excited about that. Yeah, I still don't know what MPB stands for. They love new labels. Great. So somebody said a label that they love is a useful way. If you're waiting on a client, I'm sure nobody else has clients like this. I don't know. I'm just kidding. We hear this all the time. So a client maybe has several months of work that they need to submit to you. And, having a label that says, hey, we got all that information in. We got it received. Let's go. We can move the deadline. We can add it to the plan view. We can run with it. Everybody knows, hey, we've had this client. They have been submitting things. We got it. You could probably even celebrate that week if you want. So I think that's a really cool label. Any other ones, any other use cases for favorite labels in here as well? Oh, I think people are really excited to get up to 100. Yeah, as you keep using them, let us know. Let us know how you're using them. Love the feedback on potentially, kind of giving batch actions here. That's amazing. Thank you. Waiting on K1 is my favorite and a priority label. Yeah, I love the priority label because, sometimes you just have weeks where there's so much going on. It's really nice just to add quick priorities to it and everybody could visually see what's going on. Awesome. Yep, and keep asking questions or comments just out of respect for time. I'm going to open back up the presentation. Somebody was asking about Jetpack University. Somebody has asked, were there any additions to Jetpack University? Chip made a great point. He said that we added a Zapier course to Jetpack University. So if you've heard of the wonderful world of Zapier, where you get to create these automations between different apps. So if you want Jetpack to talk to Microsoft, but also talk to Xero, but also talk to HubSpot, Zapier is the glue that can hold it all together. That's a recent course we put in Jetpack U. It's a really great question there. And I will say, we try to make these courses very accessible, right? And so what I mean by that is it's not 127 hours of kind of Zapier material. We have a milestone that we put into that course. We want you to kind of set up your first automation, and that's what that course is about. So it's not hundreds of hours, it's not even tens of hours. It's really targeted, it's really straightforward to get you set up in something like Zapier or even Jetpack overall. All right. Well, it looks like we've covered all the questions here today. Oh, we've got a couple more coming in. Got a couple more questions here. I would say so things that are outside of labels. Some people are asking about best practices about removing or adding a user for your account or for things like that. Please email support@jetpackworkflow.com. The best thing that we can do is kind of take a look at your account, take a look at your offboarding process, and make sure that whatever recommendation we have maps to your firm. Somebody wants to know about running reports, single client, incomplete jobs. I would say the best thing to do is open up, again, one of my favorite views, the jobs list, run that search right up here, and then take a look at incomplete, right? So if I want to run this, somebody is asking about this. So if I'm going to look for blue glasses and I see everything incomplete for that client, all time, I can open it up right here. So I would just run it, kind of in these filters. Again, the jobs list is where I always go. If you like the client profile view, you can see similar information in the client profile. It's just for me, I usually sit inside of the jobs list day in and day out. So I would run that view right here and kind of take a look at it from that perspective. Okie doke. Somebody said, I don't get this question about, can you see it by employee? Unsure. Labels cannot be used on templates, only on active jobs, but you can filter by label. Somebody asked about that. So let me show you again how to filter by labels. Really great question. And for me, really identifies the power of labels is you get to filter by them. So yes, you can come into the jobs list and grab this filter right here. Really great question. You can add it right here. And as a reminder, if you have a go-to label that you're looking at day in and day out, and let's say, for you, it's just, I always want to open up the urgent one and I want to see everything that's due, I don't know, this month, right? So that's the view you want to go to. Any view you create in the jobs list, you can bookmark. So each one of these is a unique URL. So if you have your favorite view, for example, that you go to time and time again, you can bookmark any view in your jobs list right here. So anyways, that's a look at the filters. Really great question. Let's see. All right, it looks like we're jumping into a couple final questions here. I love it. Any updates on the filters? I'm unsure what that question is, but again, if we don't answer your question here today, or maybe I give you an answer and you're like, that really wasn't my question, I'm not perfect, and you need more information, again, we're here to support you. We have the chat box down below. We have support@jetpackworkflow.com. I really hope I answered all the questions, if not all, the majority of questions on today's webinar. So looks like we just have a couple more filing in. Somebody wants to know, how did I lose the Jetpack Squad Leader Award, right? Well, you could go into work completed by employee. So if you want to see what's been done by a team member, so completion, status, right? Completed, in a time range by employee, you could do that. You could kind of see the difference. You could open the progress report, kind of see the difference. I'm not sure if that's a real question or not, but that's really cool. Wonderful. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody jumping on the call. We're going to be wrapping up. We're just 2 minutes to 1:50. So anyways, I'm excited for everybody who attended today. Thank you all. Thank you all for the feedback. Thank you all for making it through tax season this year. It was crazy. It was wild. Everybody tried to write off everything under the moon. There was all these new bills and loans and everything going on. And gosh, I'm so proud that we made it through, and so proud of you all for making it through this tax season. And we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that the due date is normal next year. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Look forward to following up, and just keep doing the wonderful work that you're doing. Thanks, everybody.